Hey y'all, today we're going to be going over how to make the slip stitch only crochet stitch. It's another variation on how we can kind of cheat that standard knitted stitch, getting that braided look down the sides. One key to this, there's going to be a lot more stretch than some of our other options, such as a waistcoat or even the Tunisian knit stitch. So it's great for if you're making hats or even just the border on hats and you want a little bit more durability, you could go with this. We'll be using a 6 super bulky sized yarn and a 10mm crochet hook. Alright, to get started, we're going to go ahead and make that slip knot. And then chain 8. Alright, and because we have a chain 1 for turning, we'll add 1 more. And then we're going to turn this over and we're going to put a slip knot into our second stitch. So when looking at the back, we'll skip this back loop and go into this next one, yarn over, and then instead of yarning over again to make that slip stitch, we're just going to pull right through, and we'll continue this through our row. Okay, and we can just check real quick that we have 8 on our first row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll go ahead and chain 1, flip over, and we're going to start to do the same thing on this next row. We will come right through this top, yarn over, and pull through. And we'll just continue through this whole row, making sure we're going, it's a little tight, through this top chain right here. And I just want to emphasize that, as when we get into the next row, it becomes a little bit complicated. You can already start to see it. If we're just looking at this side, it looks like this is our top of our loop, but actually it's on the side right here. Okay, again, when we're going through here, we're not going through this one. You can kind of see it too. Right in there is that little nook is going to be our stitch. And sometimes it's easier to just look at the top and push through this way. And then we have our last one. And we'll go ahead and come to this third. So here it's definitely starting to build out a pattern. You can kind of see that we have this side knitted look. So we're not going to want to go through these 2 loops. Again, we're going to want to make sure we're going through this top. So if this is our side and we flip over, we're just headed right through Ooh, this is all stuck. These top loops. All right, and we just continue on from there and add as many rows as we will need. And slowly but surely, as we keep going, we'll see this side pattern build out. All right, so we went ahead and added a few more rows. We can just add one to emphasize. So after chaining one and flipping over, one thing I want to note is you want to be careful with the tension. This does get very tight very fast. So when we're coming through, if we're keeping these kind of looser on the, don't yarn over, looser on our hook, it's going to be easier to get through the next one. As you can see, it can get a little bit difficult. As we go through each one. And then as we're getting down to this end row, the second thing to note is this is actually going to be 2 stitches left. So we have that one and then this end stitch. It kind of turns so it can get a little bit lost, but you want to make sure that you don't miss that guy at the end and lose your stitch count. All right, and of course, we can come up at the top and see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is going to be our slip stitch crochet stitch. If we look here, we can kind of see that it does have a little bit of stretch in it. So this is good if you're making something like a hat where you want it to expand. And it does also kind of have that knitted look that we can kind of copy from just your standard regular knitting. But tension is rather aggressive. So you can kind of see she tries to tuck in at the top. So you want to be careful with that.